idea what to cover for a video, and I was really thinking about it. I even asked you guys on Twitter and Facebook. If you haven't already, go follow me on Twitter and like my Facebook page. They are both Stephieonyoutube 1. Okay, now let's get on with the video. So I was thinking about it, and I was going through different things trying to come up with an idea, and the only thing that I can come up with is something that I had discussed on my personal Twitter earlier this week, and that is Stephie2010 if you're interested in following that. But the topic that I was discussing is how the ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, needs to be updated and amended, and more stuff needs to be added to it. So if you don't know what the ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and it was passed in 1990, and it's supposed to help people with disabilities get accommodations in the workplace, in school, and in college, and all that stuff. But what ended up happening is that people will surpass that. The ADA also says, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So how are people surpassing that? Well, if you have a job, the company can turn you down, not necessarily because they have a disability, or not necessarily because you have a disability. I can't talk today. I'm still sort of sick. I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just saying that I'm still sort of sick. But basically, they can say, well, we don't think you're the right fit for our company. We don't think that we can afford this technology, even though you can probably sue them for that. But a lot of employers will, I've heard stories of, employers who will, try to fight you if, for instance, you want JAWS as your screen reader. A lot of employees will be like, no, we don't think you're a good fit here, and they'll just go to someone else. And I think that needs to be fixed somehow. I don't really know how. And the other thing that needs to be fixed is service dogs. So the ADA allows you to have service dogs, guide dogs, dogs to help with balance and other disabilities. But what the ADA doesn't help with or accommodate, I guess is the words, or they shouldn't, but they do, is the people that have fake service animals. So people that have turkeys that say they're emotional support animals, or that kind of thing. Technically, the ADA doesn't cover those, but it's still legal to do. You could take your dog right now, your pet, I could take Willow right now, and go move into an apartment that doesn't allow dogs and be like, oh, it's fine, Willow's a service animal, and then get fake paperwork that says that Willow is a service dog. And it's perfectly legal for me to do, and it shouldn't be. There's also this thing that a lot of people have been pushing for years and years and years, and that is web accessibility. Web accessibility is if you're on a website and you can't use it with a screen reader, or you can't enlarge the print, or do a white on black background, or whatever you need, that website should be violating the ADA. Right? That's what you would think, especially if the website was from the United States government, or a United States ran website, right? Like, or based in the United States. Like, you would think that it would be violating ADA. And one of the examples that I gave in my thread was DESE, which is the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Their website is awful with a screen reader. It's so hard to find anything. Simba sharpening his claws. It's so hard to find anything on that website. It took me 3 hours to find a document that took a professor that sent it to me like less than 30 minutes. It's awful. And you would think a government-run website would not be allowed to do that, right? Wrong. The ADA does not cover web accessibility, and it really should. And my thread was about asking lawmakers to propose these amendments to the ADA and put them out for a vote. See who would vote for them and why not. Because we really need this to happen. We really need more efficiency. We need websites that are more accessible to us, because there are so many websites and apps and things that I would love to use, but I can't because the buttons are unlabeled. They don't work with screen readers. They don't work with VoiceOver on iOS. And it's just so frustrating because I want to use these websites, and I feel like going to some of these developers and saying, hey, you need to fix your website. And I'm not putting them under the bus or anything, because I love them to bits. But one of the website developers that we had to do this to, and we had to do it with the app too, is Patreon. And it took a whole bunch of people suing Patreon to get them to do what we've been asking them to do for years and years and years. And under the ADA, if this was amended right, this would be an automatic requirement. Accessibility would no longer be an afterthought. And that's what everybody feels like accessibility is. But with websites like Patreon, it's like pulling out your eye teeth. Convincing them that they should add accessibility, like, for the longest time. And this is a true story because I remember this. I experienced this. For the longest time, if you complained to Amazon about accessibility on their website, they would be like, go to our mobile site, it's accessible, that's where we did all the accessible things. And that should not be the case. Accessibility should have been automatically integrated into Amazon's main website. There should not have been a separate place for accessibility people to go. And another thing that I did not put in my thread, but that needs to be added, is separate entrances for people who are disabled. So if you're unfamiliar with this concept, it's like a legitimate thing. Like, it sounds like a really good idea. Like, you know, a separate ramp or whatever. Like, that's an actual thing that's in the ADA, is like accommodations like ramps and doors that are wide enough to fit wheelchairs. But what needs to be updated is where these things need to be located, because I have heard a lot of stories where the accessible entrance for apartment buildings is out by the dumpsters. And it's like, why? Why can't it be in the lobby with the other entrance? So that portion needs to be updated as well. And I feel like this is, like, the next 4 years are going to determine a lot. Like, I'm not getting political, but I feel like one of the things that should determine is whether or not the ADA gets updated. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Leave a comment down below and let me know your thoughts, your criticisms, what you think should happen. Willow's bombing my video here. Hi, Willow! Again, like my Facebook page, follow me on Twitter, subscribe if you're brand new. Please ring that notification bell. Make sure it's set to all notifications. Also, leave a comment if you have an idea, a question, or a suggestion for future videos. And follow me on Libri. And if you want to send me an email, that is Stephieonyoutube@gmail.com. And my personal Twitter is Stephie2010. And you can find all those links on my YouTube page below the About section. You can find my email address in the About section. And you can find all those links down in the description below, as well as my email address. And Willow, there you are. Willow and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.